Hola chicos, soy señora Campos, and today we're going to talk about past tenses. You were already introduced to this, but today we're reviewing to make sure you have a solid understanding for next year. So when we talk about past tenses in Spanish, we usually use two different types. We can use preterite and we can use imperfect. And of course, they are used in different ways. So when we talk about preterite, we also call this sudden past. And why? Because when we use preterite, we are highlighting actions that were completed in the past. That is to say, the actions had a clear beginning. They started at a specific time, and they also have a clear ending. So clear beginning and clear ending. That's key. And then we have the imperfect, and the imperfect is also called descriptive past. And why it's called like that? Because it mainly provides description, like background information, what was going on before an action happened, and also ongoing events in the past. That is to say, events with no clear beginning or ending. So that's the parallel. Now with preterite, you can also remember that since you're highlighting actions that were completed in the past, you're always talking about what was said, what was done, and what happened. That's preterite. Imperfect is just giving you background info and more details because it's descriptive in nature. Of course, in the preterite, we have regular verbs and irregular verbs. You already know that regular verbs have specific endings that all of them follow. So there is a clear pattern. Regular verbs are hablar, caminar, and so on. But then irregular verbs are a little bit more difficult to remember because there is no clear pattern. So you basically have to memorize their conjugation boxes. Now, in preterite, there are many irregular verbs. So Spanish teachers came up with this idea of grouping irregular verbs to help students remember them and also help them find patterns. So today I'm going to talk about the you group. These are the verbs that form the you group. So we have estar, to be, when we talk about temporary actions like feelings and locations. Tener, to have. Poder, to be able to. Saber means to know, and I'm talking about factual information here. And then poner means to put. So, good language learners find patterns. They are like detectives trying to find clues when they look at verbs and structures in Spanish. So why don't you take a close look and try to come up with the reason why Spanish teachers group all of these verbs together when talking about their conjugations in the preterite. I'm helping you here with some color coding. Did you get it? Well, if you look at these verbs, the red part, that's the stem of the verb, and the stem in all of them has an U. If you can look at it, can you see? So that's why this is called the U group. Now, the red part is the stem. Now look at the ending. These are the endings for each conjugation. Can you see a pattern? Yes, they are all the same. So those are the two things we can come up and identify. The U in the stem and the same endings for the conjugations. So now let me explain you the you group. So all of these verbs, when you conjugate them, estar, tener, poder, saber, and poner, they have a change in the stem. You have to change the stem in preterite. And these are the stems in the preterite with that you in there. That's why they are part of the you group. And then after you change the stem, you have to add the preterite ending. And these are the preterite endings you're adding. Now be careful because these endings are not really regular endings. They are not AR endings or ER endings or IR endings. No. Actually, if you look at these endings, you might see a connection with the verb hacer. Because when you conjugate hacer in preterite, you say yo hice, tú hiciste, él hizo, nosotros hicimos, vosotros hicisteis, ellos hicieron. So these endings are related to the conjugations of the verb hacer in preterite. That's one connection you can make. But if not, you'll just have to memorize them, guys. So these are the endings you use. Now, why do I have an U shape here? You're making the connection with the U group. Yes, but also because this is important. Usually in preterite, accent marks play a very important role. But here in these irregular verbs, the yo form and the he or she form do not carry accents. So you don't have to mark accents there. You mark the ending when you pronounce the conjugation, but you don't write the accent. So remember, each verb has a unique stem, and those stems have a connection, the you, but they all share the same preterite endings, and these are the endings again. So here we have the conjugations again. You have estar, tener, poder, saber, and poner. Now you know that the first step is to change the stem when you're conjugating them in preterite. So if you want to say, Señora, when I was a kid, I had a dog, you will say, tener, okay, I need to change the stem to tuv. So you write tuv, and then you use the ending for the yo form, which is only an I. So you say tuve. Señora, yo tuve un perro cuando era niño. So those are the steps you take. Change the stem and then add the ending. We have tener, poder, saber, and poner. Very quickly, I know you're pretty familiar with how to pronounce estar and tener. I'm just going to pronounce for you poder, saber, and poner, because those are probably new for you. Most of you might have this in a preterite handout if you were given one, but you will have to add these other three if you would like to have them all in one place in your handout. So poder, you say pude, pudiste, pudo, pudimos, pudisteis, pudieron. Saber, supe, supiste, supo, supimos, supisteis, supieron. Y poner, puse, pusiste, puso, pusimos, pusisteis, pusieron. Ahora, chicos, es tiempo para practicar